Hello, guys. Can you? Okay, maybe a third time's a charm. All right. If you guys can hear me, can you put a number 1 in the chat? Just making sure. Started to open some stuff and then it like wanted to go away on me. I don't know what was going on. So let's see here. Well, I have been waiting, like I'm sure everybody has been anxiously waiting to see the prosecutor's response to what is going on, right? And we knew that this was going to come. And as you know, it was a week ago today that we sat here and, saw all of this first come out. And I am going to pull this up here for. I had to invite my own self to the stream. That's hilarious. All right, I'm not going to pull it up that way on this because it doesn't want me to. That's so strange. All right. I'm going to pull it up on a totally different thing for I can get it and it won't shut me down. I don't know, powers that be trying to keep me from sharing what the prosecution said. But I appreciate you guys being here. And I am going to pull this up for I can tell you the full response and what is going on. I will let you know that because of this crapola, right, that was released by the defense team, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised that the prosecution is now having to try to block that filings and stuff will not be going public anymore. So full information will not be, I won't say impossible, right? We can get our hands on some stuff, but definitely not open general public anymore because of what the hell the defense team filed, right? And information that they filed that probably details that were not supposed to be released. So, the prosecutor calls the Delphi ritualistic murder theory a fanciful defense for social media to devour. Does that mean us? I don't know. Does that mean us? Let me make sure I've got all this blocked here. So, sorry, I have to pull this up on another thing. I just want to make sure nothing's going wrong over there, and I don't know why it is, but okay. So we've got the Carroll County prosecutor, Nicholas McLeland, has responded to Richard Allen's defense team's 136-page memorandum that not only asked for evidence collected during the search warrant to be thrown out, but laid out an alternative theory that linked the Delphi murders to a cult that ritualistically sacrificed Abigail Williams and Liberty German. McLeland fired back in the new court filings by calling the alternative theory a fanciful defense for social media to devour, and that isn't supported by evidence. McLeland tore into the defense's entire 136-page memorandum, calling the large filing colorful, dramatic, and highly unprofessional. So you kind of knew that. You kind of knew it, right? I mean, when they used certain terms that they did in the information, you kind of knew that that was going to happen. When they use the words ghoulish to try to describe something, right? So, chiefs amongst defense attorney targets was a search warrant served by investigators on Richard Allen's home in October of 2022. The defense accused Sheriff Tony Liggett of lying about key information in order to have the search warrant signed by a judge. McLeland responded by saying Liggett did not intentionally or recklessly omit evidence or lie about evidence in the probable cause affidavit that was filed with the court in order to gain the search warrant. The prosecutor defended the search warrant by stating that all relevant information to justify a search of Allen's home came from the interviews with Richard Allen himself, along with the interviews with his wife. Allen admitted on his own accord to being on the trails the day Abby and Libby were killed. The prosecution said Allen also described the clothing he was wearing to investigators, clothing that prosecutors say matched the suspect captured on Libby German's cell phone video. Investigators also knew a firearm may have been involved in the murder of the girls due to an unspent .40 caliber round being found between Abby and Libby's bodies. Richard Allen told investigators he owned a gun of the same caliber. Under the Fourth Amendment, this is a quote, by the way, under the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, the evidence needed to obtain a search warrant need not rise to the statute of facts necessary to obtain conviction. The circumstances alleged in the affidavit need only lead person of reasonable caution to believe that the crime has been committed, the prosecution filing states. McLeland said investigators also worried that if a search of Allen's home was not conducted immediately, that's kind of loosely used, right? Immediately, 5+ years later. But anyway, there was a risk that Allen would destroy any potential evidence. So basically meaning that now he knew he was on the radar. If there was anything left at his home, right, then they're going to be able to go he can go back home and destroy it. The investigators believed through their training and experience that there was real chance that the defendant would destroy evidence once he knew he was a suspect in the crime, the filings had said. So we've got the different motions. I'm going to try to see if it'll let me open the my case on this for I can share it with you to show you all of the filings that happened, all the responses that went on. So hopefully we'll work on getting access of the filings, although like I said, let me see here. I'm going to try to pull this up while you guys just hold on. Let me see if it'll work on this computer. Sometimes this wants to act up. Let's see here. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, let me see here. And let's see if it'll let me go back. All right, sorry guys. I don't know why it's acting weird. Okay, I'm hoping you guys are all still here with me, are you? Yep, looks like I can. So we've got them talking about that they think the information and stuff is ridiculous. We do know that the prosecutor can't come out like the defense team and say to us, okay, no, that's not how the scene was, or we don't interpret the scene as this, or that the Purdue University investigator said that this did not look like a ritualistic crime, right? They can't come back in a response like that and do the same thing that the defense team just did, which, as they called, unprofessional. Lots of people called it unprofessional because of what they did. But okay, let's see if it's going to let me open his files. So we've got many filings and stuff from it. Let me see if it'll let me just show you the screen. So I was waiting all day. I thought, okay, am I going to see this in the morning? I'm going to see this in the afternoon. And is this going to sit here and come in this evening? But obviously they thought it was unprofessional. They thought the information that was released, we pretty much knew they were going to be pissed by that, right? And now we're going to see what happens for this. I don't know why it wants to do this. I'm sorry, guys. It really wants to mess with me here. Okay, now let's try it this way. Okay, there we go. All right, so I just need to do it back again by his name. I think I finally got it to work. We'll let you look at what all the filings and stuff were. I'm sure this came out this morning, and that's why it didn't get dropped into the filings. So I'm going to pull this up here. Let me look at the most recent date I make sure I have the right thing for you guys here. Oh, well, that could be why. Sorry, guys. Hold on, I got it here. Carroll County. Want to make sure it pulls up the right one. I mean, I'm not surprised at so much was filed, right? Okay, there it all is. I'm going to show you this first. Okay, let me share my screen now. Share screen. Share entire screen. Okay. Right here, we're in the My Case filing for Indiana. The first thing I want to show you, because right now the prosecution is also going that they don't want it to go live, right? They actually now don't want it to be televised, because that was one of the things that was also filed by the defense team. They now want it to be on television, right? As you can tell, lots of cases that we've seen played to the television audience. And, when you look at what was filed by the defense team, the only necessary thing that had to be filed by the defense team was talking about that they believe evidence didn't support the actual search warrant. Well, that's not true, right? It's not true, because they didn't need to file as many papers as they did, because that's not what their target was. So here, I wanted to show you that also this supporting notice of non-party request for news media access and statement support for the defense motion for broadcasting. And you can see all of these media that is requesting for it to be broadcasted as well. So, for example, if you look at Nexstar, that's actually who owns Fox 59. Gannett, you got the Indianapolis Star, the people who own those types of things. But these are all the ones that all filed on the 25th for it to be done. So now we've got, here's the documents that was filed by the prosecutor. So we've got the state's response to the defendant's motion for broadcasting order, which we told you they don't want that happening. The objection filed for to suppress the motion. They have the state's motion for leave of court to subpoena third-party records. We've got I have everything in the world popping up right now. State's motion for leave of court to subpoena party records. State's motion to leave party court to subpoena third-party records again. Then a petition filed to prohibit public access to court record. So this is so now we won't be able to see what stuff is being filed. And then motion for all future pleadings and filings to be sealed for the court's review before being released to the public. I'm telling you right here on that one, I think that everybody was shocked that the details of the actual scene was in there, and that it probably, if somebody would have reviewed it, it probably would have been actually it would have actually been redacted, right? They would have not had all of that information out there. And, of course, we all want to know what's going on. We all want to know the details of everything, but not in, and we've said this before, right? We don't want that happening just because in affecting the case, and that the right person or people are convicted of the crime. We don't want that happening. And so, now we sit here and have the prosecutor who, no matter what, has to follow the court's order, what's going to be released. They can't release details out to the public, right? They can't do that. But that the defense got away with it, and the defense got away with throwing out. They basically wrote that whole document to argue what their defense is for their client being innocent. And they put that out to the public instead of not putting it to the jury, why they believe their client is innocent and that they're saying this other theory happened. They decided to send it out completely, which you guys know, it didn't just get covered in like local Indiana market coverage, right? It wasn't just Indianapolis or just straight Indiana news. It's been covered on different national news channels and broadcasts and everything to tell about the case. So I am sure, and we all knew, that the prosecution was going to be pissed. So now we are going to have, I'm sure this is going to be responded to very, very quickly by Judge Gohl as far as agreeing or not agreeing about the information being sealed from this point forward. Although there was already a gag order, it is just about the actual court documents being sealed. And, we probably won't see what the response from the prosecutor is. And they did that on purpose. So we're going to be at the fact of the jury is going to be the one who hears all of the actual details and evidence that they have for it that we're not going to learn about until after the case. Now, the one thing I find interesting that I don't see a response from yet is about moving Richard Allen, right? Remember, his claim to move out of Westville is that he has guards who are tied to this Odinism cult, and so that he needed to be immediately leaved. In my opinion, I don't believe that. I think it's just another excuse for them to try again because they weren't successful in getting him moved out of that prison. And remember, when they were just in court, the judge really believed that the reason that the defense attorneys were trying to do that was because that it was difficult for them to get to their client, according to them, right? It's a couple hours drive away, and they don't want to have to be driving back and forth and to do all this. Let's see, Skyward. I'm just trying to catch up on these. Sorry, guys. Why does I keep having things pop up? Okay. I'm trying to catch up. There's channels and podcasts doing Delphi I've never heard of. So defense getting what they wanted. Yeah, Shane, there is lots more, people covering it. And the Odinism stuff gets, all different news media to come in there. And news media who doesn't know anything about the case. They don't know anything about the girls. They, don't say the girls' names right. Confusion. I would even say that even the defense team itself confused one girl for the other when they were talking about stuff, right? That's like when they turned around and also talked about clothing, that they said that, Abby's wearing Libby's clothing. Well, Libby wasn't wearing jeans. So, sorry, I'm trying to read all of them, catch up with you guys. Hold on. Do you guys think anyone else was involved Or do you think Alan acted alone? Chris, to be honest with you, in my opinion, I still have a feeling that there was somebody else involved. And even if that's just from the factor of saying that how somebody was set up, you know, with the Anthony Shots account, somebody could have been helping with that. Oh, see, Skyward, I don't know how you could keep him there, given the circumstances. Well, Skyward, they kind of have to prove their theory. The problem is they've used several different excuses about trying to get Alan out of that jail, or I'm sorry, the prison. And, you know, if you look, there's been a lot of prison issues going on, and people who have been killed or murdered in prison, and they can't take that risk of him going to any little jail like in Carroll County and think that they can protect him, especially from people who know what crime he committed, right? So there he's getting, they said he needed treatment for mental health. So there they have all that where they're not going to have that if he's in a jail, right? So they talked about actually the medical attention and stuff he can get there is better for him. And to be honest with you, I don't know that you can go any place where people would know that you've admitted to killing 2 girls and not be in danger at all. I mean, honestly, you know, no matter what, there's a danger for people who hurt children. Yeah, Shane, I do. You know, I've always thought that there could have been a second person there. And the only reason that I still, well, there's a couple of reasons I still believe that. But one of the other reasons is because we know that there were other witnesses that are not listed or we did not see listed in the probable cause affidavit that was released to us, right? Remember, here's the one thing, you know, we all have to remember. There are some documents that were still sealed that we did not get to see, right? Remember the full document drop that we waited for such a long time to get, and then they still kept, oh, I don't remember offhand. I don't want to say the wrong number. I want to say it was like 19 to 20 pages of information that was still sealed. Now, we do know that there were some other witnesses, but they weren't listed in the probable cause affidavit. So, did they see Richard Allen, or could have they seen somebody else? Right? Could have there been somebody else that was spotted or seen, and we don't know about that. And then when you do hear about the crime scene and, you know, some more details, although, you know, if depending, I'll just put it, depending on the reality of what did happen to Abby would really tell you whether, you know, there could be one person who completed all of that, who got the girls to go down the hill, went across the water, over towards the other bank. You know, how would there be no blood on Abby, right? How would there, you know, be Libby undressed, blood on Libby, sticks moved? Now the defense team's claiming that Abby is wearing Libby's clothes. You know, I don't know that's a factor. Remember how much that they asked Kelsey at the beginning, what clothes were the girls wearing, right? What were they wearing? When they got out, there was sweatshirts. What was their sweatshirts? Well, now we know why that was questioned. But remember that Abby was sitting here not wearing her own sweatshirt no matter what. over her shirt. So no matter what, that's going to be on her. But if she's doesn't have blood on her and she was killed a different way for that to happen, then that's a lot for one person to sit here and to do. Sorry, still catching up on all the questions. Okay, Court TV should be banned. It's like a Jerry Springer episode more than anything. You know what? I agree with you that I've seen them sit there and talk to people and not know the girl, some case news, actual news that don't know the girls' names, right? And it's just like, you got to be kidding me. And when they say stuff that they just don't even know the case, that is just so frustrating. Yeah, the bad thing is if he's not a lone actor and he gets killed in prison, then we don't know other people involved. And we don't know who else helped. And let me say this. If Anthony Shots is being used, right? And Anthony Shots let's say he used it. Give me that for a second. Let's say he used Anthony Shots to lure Libby there, right? Who, again, the defense team tries to say that Abby's the target. Well, I argue she isn't the target. She was still left clothed. She still was left in there. Libby wasn't. So if Abby's your target, why would they sit here and leave Libby that way, but have Abby be dressed and hands, crossed over and stuff like that? So if he's sitting here and he used the Anthony Shots, don't you think that he would sit here and also be, there would also be, a Keegan Kline responsible if he set it up and let somebody else use it? Yes, and today is National Remembrance Day for murdered victims. So again, just looking, let me see, hopefully this stays in here. So looking at the filings that happened today, again, I showed you today on the 25th, these were all the news agencies that agreed with the defense that it should all be broadcasted. Well, of course, because all of these broadcasters want to be able to show it on television, right? Show the case. But then you've got all the rest of these filings are response. So again, state's response for defendant's motion for broadcasting, that was their first. And again, the state's motion was they don't want it shown. They don't think it should be shown. Why? Probably because they think the defense team is going to play to the television. Objection filed for the motion to suppress, right? They want the search warrant thrown out. They say it was unconstitutional. They're trying to say that he lied, all of that. That information is going to be in the response that they have. We'll see whether that happens or doesn't happen. Then we've got the state's motion to leave of court to subpoena a third-party record. Those are both interesting, and that there's two of them. So not quite sure yet what those are. Hopefully we'll be able to dive deep in those and let you guys know. Then we've got the petition filed to request to prohibit public access to court records. That may prevent us from seeing stuff right there. And that all future pleadings and filings to be sealed for the court's review before being released to the public. I feel like that tells us something right there, right? I think that it just got filed. I think it just got dropped. And I think there was a shock that happened, probably by the prosecutor, probably by law enforcement, right? Everybody who was in there probably was shocked as hell that that got filed and every single bit of it got released. And, you know, crazy. Let me see if I can pull that story up carefully now. For I can show you guys exactly what I was taking all the information from, which the first post I saw was from Fox 59. And let me make sure this opens here before I click out of this. Maybe. Nope, it doesn't want me to do that. So I wanted to get this information out to you as soon as it popped up. I was looking for it. I'm going to go ahead and I will drop the link and the details and stuff inside the show description. I don't know if the initial piece that I had came down or not. And then that's why it doesn't want to allow me to open that up while at all on StreamYard, or whether some of it got taken down. But I will be looking further into more details about those two filings, because I'm curious what the third party filings are. But we did do the show about, you know, kind of our theory and stuff of, you know, at least the defense team's theory, which again, like I shared, I'm just not going to help the defense team promote what their defense is when they go to court with Richard Allen, because then you guys are not hearing both sides of the story. You're only hearing one side of the story, one side of that theory. So, you know, there's a lot of info and stuff that'll come out. I'm sure we'll have some more tomorrow. If the judge does not allow the documents to be sealed, then we'll have those and we can go over those. If they do, then honestly, guys, because what the defense team released, from this move forward, we won't know about any of the filings that's going on. So then that makes it curious, right? Was that done on purpose or not? Right? I'm curious about that. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure Judge Gull will respond to this very quickly. We'll know about that info. But here's the thing. If they do not, we'll be able to tell at least if something's denied, right? We can tell by the case files, which I'll keep an eye on. We will know if something is denied or accepted. So the one big thing, what are we watching for? Is Richard Allen going to be moved? Yes or no, right? That's going to be a big one. Are the papers and stuff going to be sealed from this move forward? And so we know where they stand if suddenly Richard Allen isn't moved, right? And if Richard Allen does not have the search warrant thrown out, then they keep every bit of evidence that they found when they went to his home. So could have he got rid of evidence? I'm sure people, anybody after 5 years after this murder, you would think would get rid of evidence. But also after 5 years, they don't think anybody's coming for them, right? And so whatever little bit he still could have had, he would have had on them. And we've always said the reason that they went after Richard Allen is because he placed himself there. That's what information he gave when he was interviewed by the DNR officer, Dan Dolan. Dan Dolan enters it into the Orion system. However, instead of it being listed under Richard Allen's last name, it's listed under Richard Allen's street name as his last name. That's odd, right? That's odd. We wonder why that all happened. But then he's also listed as a witness who did not see anything, right? He's not listed as a suspect. So then suddenly this is all re-pulled back up in September that they see it. Then he's questioned back in October. And when they talk to him again in October, he confirms the same statement. Remember, it was in the probable cause affidavit that they took a screenshot or a snapshot. Don't know how that they did it, but basically they took a shot picture of the information that was entered by Dan Dolan of what the statement was from Richard Allen when he was there. Oh, I didn't see any. I wasn't paying attention to vehicles in there because I was looking at my stock ticker, right? Oh yeah, I did see those three girls and stuff in there. He had to say he saw those 3 girls. You know why? Because those 3 girls would say that they saw him. I know there's 4 girls. I'm just telling you, he said he saw 3. Okay. So he has to tell because he knows he was spotted. He knows he was seen. He can't not tell. So then when they see this in the Orion system, what do they have to do? They call him back in. We need to talk to you. You said this. What did he say on that day? He repeated his same statement, the time frame that he was there. He didn't say he left at 1:15 p.m. He said he was still there. So, yeah. After his restatement of his time frame there, what clothes he's wearing that witnesses said he looked like, the video that you can't see his face well, but you can see what the hell he's wearing, talking about where he was parked, which he's trying to sidestep where he was actually parked by calling it something else, but everybody else is calling it the PCA building, right? So his own statement, just like the prosecution just replied, his own statement, and they said in his wife's statement, which is interesting, right? Because we don't know all what his wife said, right? So that gives them the reason to go see the judge, see Judge Diener, and like, okay, oh my God, we've had this guy here. He is confirming what he's wearing. It's the same as the guy in the video that they can clearly see what the guy's at least wearing, right? He's there during the time of the murders. And then they realize the girls who are confirming that they saw somebody going to the bridge, this guy is the same description. So now they're going to go check his house. If I would agree that they should have not search warrant his house, right? If they went wandering in the Orion system, finally found that, then went to do the search warrant. But they didn't. I think that this was okay to do a search warrant because he reconfirmed everything. Yep. I agree too. They didn't mention anything about Keegan Kline. think about all the different potential suspects that we've had with Delphi over this whole time frame that they could have tried to come back and say, right? And who would have been the easiest one they could have said was involved in the murder and did the murder instead of Richard Allen? Did anybody else argue that it would probably be pretty easy to say he could have said, oh, it's Keegan Kline, because he would already know that's out in the media. Keegan Kline admitted to creating the Anthony Shots account. The Anthony Shots account was the one speaking to Libby the night before and the day of, right? That the Anthony Shots profile also said, oh, she was supposed to meet me out there, but she never showed up. So why didn't they throw the shade on Keegan Kline and that Keegan Kline did it? Because remember, who are the alibis for the Klines? Each other. Keegan Kline is his dad's alibi and vice versa. Now, I would argue that the other reason that they could do that is because if Richard Allen did use Anthony Shots or did have somebody use Anthony Shots to lure Libby that Anthony Shots, this teenage boy, is going to meet you out there and meet you, whatever, then he's not going to throw the attention back towards Keegan Kline because it could connect them. I agree, Julianne. Absolutely. So I'm so glad finally that information. I wish we could see all of it. I'm going to keep an eye on all that info. I'll watch and see the Gull's response, right? I'll watch to see what happens is Richard Allen going to be moved? My guess is no, because they can't go prove Odinism theory that, oh, that's really who murdered the girls. And by the way, move it because that's also the reason. That's not the reason. That's not the reason. Before, the judge and them even said that they thought it was more selfish, that they just wanted him closer to them so he didn't have to drive so far to go see his client. Well, he agreed to see that client knowing he was in that prison the whole time, right? So he already agreed to that. We'll find out if they're going to close the documents. And honestly, maybe it's for the best. If the defense team, I'm sorry, I know legally they can do that. And then, it's, I don't know whose fault it is that somebody didn't look at the material and say whether or not it should have been redacted about information, any type of information, even their own interpretation of information about the crime scene, right? Remember, you're only hearing what they want you to hear. It's kind of like when people talk about like a grand jury, right? A grand jury is brought on, they check whether they have enough evidence to convict somebody. Well, they only get to hear the prosecution side. They're not hearing the defense side. Well, that's what a lot of people are doing with the defense team. You're sitting here thinking that everything the defense just told you is true. And that, they're not going to lie to you or whatever. I argue, and like I did for the other show we did prior to this, if you guys want to watch it, as far as response to the defense team, wouldn't this have been an easier solve if this was how it went down? It was a connection to a boy that Abby was, I don't know, officially dating. I don't know how 13-year-olds are dating, but you know what I mean? He was older than her, but still, that it was connected to her boyfriend's father. And then the crime scene doesn't agree with it. The crime scene doesn't agree with it. It does not agree with that Abby would have been the main target in there. And I don't think everybody wants to keep ignoring stuff and acting like, oh, this is a coincidence and this is a coincidence and this is a coincidence. I'm sorry. There's not that many coincidences in true crime, right? And you know how you hear that most of the time the answer is the simplest answer, not the more complicated answer. And Shane, you know that I think that Dropbox, no matter what, I think that Dropbox information is going to be more. Keegan Kline only faced local charges, and none of them were massive sharing and distribution off of a Dropbox images. Those would be federal. Dirty Dogs believe that they could file drop by ear. Yep, I agree, CJK. Yep, there will be more. There will be more. So, you know, I know there's not tons of stuff here, but I saw it, I dropped it. I wanted to make sure that all of you guys heard about it happening, heard that finally there's a response. They needed a week. I'm sure they filed lots of stuff. I'm sure there is responses. You know, my God, who knows? I'm sure there could be a response for Tony Liggett in it. I'm sure there's responses from the jail in there. I mean, think of everybody that they accused of all of these people's conspiracy against Richard Allen. So we knew that, you know, they were going to go extreme. I just didn't think they would try to plead their whole case out in the public and honestly try to taint a jury. Right? I mean, we haven't even started, you know, we're not starting selecting jurors yet. But they don't have that far. I mean, I know at the beginning we're like, oh my God, we got to wait till 2004. January 8th of 2004, Richard Allen is due in court and his defense team has to be ready to go, right? They have to be ready to go. And if they don't get this information dropped, right, from the search warrant, which we don't know everything, we don't have access to all discovery. We haven't seen all discovery. We don't know any other witnesses. We don't know full statements. We have documents that were not released to us. Don't forget that. There are documents still not released. So, my opinion is that if they keep Richard Allen where he is, they don't throw out the search warrant, that Richard Allen's goose is then cooked. Because this is a play that this defense attorney has used before to get somebody off for doing 3 murders. And, but he had the person's search warrant thrown out. And then that's how that case was won. If these do not get thrown out, then they have to fight the evidence that's there. And then if they realize that the evidence remains in, will there be a plea deal? If they come back and now he's going to just go to trial with all the evidence that's against him, he's not being moved from the prison. What if they offer him, okay, we'll move you from this prison to, I don't know, another prison. We won't go after the death penalty. You confess, we'll give you a plea deal, and you tell us who else is involved. And that's where I think they would be. I think this is the last piece of it, to be honest. So Well, thank you guys for joining me quickly. Sorry about the technical. I don't know what was going on with StreamYard. It was jumping back and forth and stuff on me. So I appreciate your patience and stuff with it. Please, if you don't, I am never good at this, watching other channels community posts, because I never knew really to go check that. But if you go look inside the community post under YouTube, you can see like updates of stories when the videos aren't going on or things that are happening. So you guys look for that, because I'll try to keep that updated with documents and any updates that I hear, and let you know what's going on with all of that. I just did a drop for some documents and information, well, court updates for the murder of Oakley Snow. I'll be covering that case here soon with the discovery from that case. Her mother and her boyfriend go on trial on October 2nd. And so I want to talk and cover that, because again, we jumped on that case to try to help an Oklahoma family get answers for a little girl who was here in Indianapolis, and did that prayer vigil to try to get media coverage and also to try to get answers. And unfortunately, that little girl, before they even gave any little bit of information on March 8th of 2023, that little girl had already been murdered on February 8th, 2023. Let's make sure justice is served for Oakley Snow. Please watch out for that case coming up, and updates. I'll be doing that. I have a show coming up. It is about the 4 Las Vegas victims of the Long Island serial killer. But that has led to that 2 of those victims were actually listed as potential victims of another serial killer. This particular serial killer actually was not discovered until he was murdered by a victim. And then they realized about him possibly and potentially committing murders, including a bunch of missing women in Ohio. And I am working on that. It always happens. I start on one case to kind of do a show for you guys, and then it has a bunch more information, and I'm not going to not give you all of that information. So I'm going to be covering that. Also going to be doing a show on a woman whose family needs help. She is missing out of Indianapolis. And we'll be sharing that case and stuff with you. And we just got a lot of work that's going on right now, and probably, juggling like about 4 cases at the exact moment. So please join us. Please like us. Please subscribe. Please, help share the shows that we do about these cases. And I really appreciate you guys. And I'm not a monetized channel. I just ask for help in spreading the word about the channel and the information about the channel. Ask your friends to please subscribe, like, and share. And know how much I do truly appreciate each and every one of you, and being here and being a part of